Have you ever felt in silence as if something bigger was calling you? A restlessness in your chest? A strange feeling that your soul is trying to tell you something, even when everything around you seems normal? What if I told you that this is not just a spiritual coincidence, but a direct calling? A whisper from the heavenly realms that only the chosen can hear? Maybe you don't know how to explain it, but you still clicked on this video. And just the fact that you are here now, hearing these words, is the first sign that something inside you is awakening. We live in a world of voices, religious, political, social, all trying to teach us what is right and wrong, what faith is, what salvation is, what God is. But what if I told you that most of what they taught you was half the truth, and that there is another part of revelation, a part that has been hidden, silenced, stifled for centuries? Would you have the courage to listen? Or like so many, would you prefer to continue sleeping? There is a passage that few comment on, but it is there, clear as the morning light. In Matthew 13:11, Jesus says to his disciples, "To you it has been given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given." Why would Jesus say that? Why would you share knowledge? Because not everyone is ready. Not everyone can stand the truth. Many are called, but few have the courage to walk this narrow path. What follows in this video is not religion. It is no longer a memorized doctrine. It's something deeper. It is Gnosis, direct spiritual knowledge, revealed not by men, but by the Spirit. And perhaps you are already feeling this within yourself, a hunger for answers that the churches have not given, a thirst for God that repeated sermons cannot satisfy. You feel like there's something beyond, and you're right, because there is. This call does not come from me, not from any religious system. It comes from a voice that speaks in the silence, a presence that accompanies the awakened, a light that bothers those who live in darkness but guides those who dare to see. When Jesus said, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear," he was not talking about physical hearing. He spoke of the spiritual capacity to perceive, to understand the signs from heaven that most people ignore. Are you hearing that voice now? She doesn't scream. She doesn't impose herself. It whispers within the soul, like an ancient echo. And if you hear it, it's because it's already been marked, called, separate, not on merit, but by destiny. There is a lost wisdom, which spans the centuries, hidden among forgotten texts, the forbidden Gospels, the whispers of angels. There are secrets that men tried to bury but that they could never completely erase. They come back. They always come back, when someone wakes up. And maybe today is your day to wake up. It's not just about knowing more, it's about seeing more. See with the eyes of the Spirit. See beyond the veil. Understand that the kingdom of God is not out there, in temples made by human hands. He's in. He is now. And it's calling. But be careful. This path is not comfortable. The truth, when it appears in its purest form, hurts before it heals, drops before getting up. It reveals how lost we were, even though we thought we were on the right path. But this pain, this rupture, is necessary. It is the birth of the soul. Are you still here? So no, you didn't click by chance. You have been called. Gnosis called you. The hidden Christ within you is knocking at the door, and this video could be the start of it all. Now keep watching, because what comes next may change the way you understand what faith is, what truth is, and who you really are. If something has moved inside you up until now, a thought that had never arisen, a forgotten memory, or even a doubt that bothers you, then this is the time to give voice to it. Yes, now is the time for you to share. Don't be silent. Silence is what keeps the soul asleep. Write in the comments what you feel, without fear. What kind of spiritual doubt haunts you when no one is looking? What was the moment when your faith shook, or when you realized that maybe you didn't know as much as you thought? Confess in the comments if you want, the questions you've had for years and never had the courage to voice. Maybe no one around you understands you. Maybe they even mock it. But here, you are among seekers. And every comment you leave can awaken another soul too. It can touch someone who is on the verge of giving up. It could be the spark that rekindles an extinguished faith. And if you've come this far, it's because your spirit resists. So, enjoy this video as a way to declare, I want the truth, even if it shakes me. This helps YouTube deliver this content to more people who, like you, are looking for something real, something beyond ready-made answers. If you haven't signed up yet, do so now. Activate the bell, because in the next videos we will continue this journey. And some revelations that come along can deconstruct everything you were taught and then reconstruct it into something purer, more alive, more true. Are you ready to dive deeper? Then comment, share, let your soul speak. This space is for those who are no longer afraid to ask questions, for those who were called, and for those who decided not to ignore this call. You are here now, at this very moment. This is no coincidence. Most people go through videos like this without feeling anything at all. But you stopped. Something trapped you. Maybe he doesn't even know how to explain it, but he felt a shiver, a good discomfort, as if he was facing something he already knew, even though he had never heard it before. This is Gnosis. It's not just knowledge. It's a spiritual memory that pulses within your soul, as if something that was hidden within you was finally beginning to awaken. This spiritual attraction is not emotional. It comes from a deeper place where reason and logic don't reach. It's as if something in you recognizes the presence of truth before your mind can even understand it. It's as if your spirit is saying, listen, because this is important. Gnosis, this divine knowledge that spans ages and was hidden by institutions and manipulators of faith, is not taught. It is remembered, and you're remembering now. People who are touched by this type of content often report that when they hear these words, they feel as if something is being removed from their eyes, as if a blindfold fell off, revealing a spiritual world that was always there, but for some reason, they couldn't see. And this veil begins to tear at the exact moment the truth is boldly proclaimed, not a dogmatic, doctrinal, institutionalized truth, but one that burns in the chest, that moves the soul and that confronts you with who you really are before God. You didn't click on this video out of mere curiosity. You were led here, guided, called, and it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. Spiritual truth does not depend on your acceptance to be real. She simply is, and it stands before you, waiting for you to recognize it. Do you know why many can't watch until the end? Because light bothers the eyes of those who have lived in darkness for too long. Because the truth hurts the ego, breaks idols, destroys comfortable certainties. And yet, you are here. This says a lot about your soul. Perhaps you have already felt that there was something wrong with religious repetitions. You may have noticed that the modern faith system often preaches more about control than liberation. Perhaps you have read passages from the Bible and felt that there was something between the lines that you were not taught. This feeling is not confusion. It is your spirit reacting to the call of Gnosis. And the closer you get to it, the more you realize that there is something sacred beyond the surface of the text, beyond the tradition, beyond the liturgy. The Bible itself warns us about this. In Proverbs 25:2 it is written, "The glory of God is to hide certain things, to try to discover them is the glory of kings." See how interesting. There is a divine glory in hiding spiritual truths, and there is a human, spiritual glory in seeking and uncovering them. This is Gnosis, a call to investigate, to open our eyes, to go beyond what was delivered superficially. Jesus did not speak clearly to everyone. He used parables. Why? Because not everyone has ears to hear, only the called, the chosen, the awakened, those who have already been touched in some way by the mystery of truth. That's why you're here, because something in you is ready to understand what was previously indecipherable. Spiritual Gnosis does not arrive with noise. It doesn't come with fanfare. She blows. She plays. It awakens the spirit like a breeze that crosses the centuries, breaking the walls of religious institutions that imprisoned faith in sterile dogmas. You may not even know it, but you were led down this path long before this video. That restlessness that has accompanied you for years, that feeling that there is more to discover, that silent rebellion against the superficialism of shallow preaching. This was all part of the process, and now the pieces are starting to fall into place. You realize you are not alone, that there are others like you, who are feeling the same, who were called, who are waking up from a deep spiritual sleep. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Many, when touched by this kind of truth, try to escape. They return to the comfort of ready-made answers. They try to silence the inner voice that screams for revelation. But you're still here. This means your spirit is resisting. It's responding. You are saying yes to the call that comes from above. And the more you listen, the more Gnosis involves you. She doesn't just want to inform. She wants to transform. And this transformation begins with the simple act of recognizing, I was called. The content, no matter how new it seems, echoes things you already knew but had forgotten. It's as if these words reactivate spiritual memories, codes that were dormant within you. And suddenly, biblical passages that previously seemed like just stories take on another meaning. Expressions like, Kingdom of God within you, Luke 17:21, the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, Matthew 13:11, the truth will set you free, John 8:32. All of this begins to pulse with another intensity, with another meaning. You begin to realize that something great is being revealed, but only to those who have the courage to see it. This revelation is not comfortable. She shakes. It shakes internal structures. It dismantles inherited certainties, but it also illuminates, cure, free. And that's precisely why it's not for everyone. Jesus himself said, "Do not give what is holy to dogs, nor throw your pearls before swine." Matthew 7:6. In other words, there are truths that need to be kept for those who are ready. And if you're listening to this right now, maybe you're one of those. Maybe it's your turn to receive something that many ask for, but few support. The click you made on this video was just the beginning, but don't underestimate the spiritual impact this can have. A simple gesture can be the turning point of an entire existence, because once you hear a profound truth, you can no longer pretend it doesn't exist. She starts to get uncomfortable, calling you in moments of silence, chasing you in your dreams, finding you in the verses of the Bible that previously went unnoticed. And then the real conflict begins, between what you have learned and what your spirit is revealing, between what the temple said and what the sky is whispering, between the fear of leaving the system and the courage to walk on water. Most give up at this point, but some carry on, and these few are the ones who transform their own lives, and often those of others around them. Are you feeling this now? So I invite you to leave your reaction in the comments. What does this awaken you to? Which part of this message touched you the most? Have you felt this calling before? Have you ever had deep spiritual questions that no one has been able to answer? Have you ever been rejected for thinking differently than the majority? Comment on the phrase below. I was called, and I am not alone. This will connect you to others who are living the same journey. Also leave your question, your concern, or just an amen if all of this makes sense. And more. Write the phrase, "I want more revelations like this," in the comments if you want me to continue with this type of deep, spiritual, and challenging content. Let's make this message reach more searchers like you. May this revelation lead you to seek the truth, not in men, but in God himself. Have you ever seen something similar? Comment below. If this message spoke to you, sign up to receive more revelations like this. You have come this far because something inside you is awakening, and it is precisely now that we need to talk about something that many avoid, ignore, or simply reject because they do not understand: Gnosis. This word may seem strange to some, dangerous to others, and even heretical to those who have been conditioned by doctrines that fear the power of true spiritual revelation. But Gnosis, this word that comes from the Greek gnosis here, which means knowledge, is not just a philosophical idea or an obscure term. It is, in its deepest essence, the knowledge that frees the soul. And this is what many Christians have never heard of, because this is exactly what has been erased from most teachings. Gnosis is not common, theoretical knowledge, like it is learned in books or repeated in sermons. It is spiritual, living, revealed by the Spirit of God directly to the heart of man. It is an understanding that does not pass through the rational mind, but that burns inside, that awakens, that confronts, that transforms. It is the kind of knowledge that cannot be taught by another human being, only awakened. And that's why Jesus used parables. In Matthew 13:10-13, the disciples ask, "Why do you speak to them in parables?" And Jesus responds, "For to you it has been given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given." This is one of the most impactful statements in the gospel, and curiously, one of the least preached in modern pulpits. What Jesus was saying is clear. There are spiritual mysteries that are not for everyone. There are truths that will only be revealed to those whose eyes have been opened, whose ears have been awakened, whose hearts are ready. This is Gnosis. This is what most religious institutions fear, a people who do not depend only on what is said in the pulpits, but who know how to seek directly from God, with discernment, with a thirst for truth. Because when people are free on the inside, they are no longer manipulated on the outside. And here's the point that many people need to understand. Gnosis. is not a religion. It predates organized religion. It is the knowledge of the light that existed before human systems attempted to control faith. The Apostle Paul talks about this too. In Colossians 1:26, he says, "The mystery that has been hidden from all ages and in all generations, and which has now been made manifest to his saints." Note, not to religious people, not to doctors of the law, but to saints, to those who seek sincerely. For centuries, this truth was suppressed. Many primitive Gnostic currents, who were nothing more than deep Christians with intense spiritual experiences, were persecuted, defamed, erased from history. Why? Because they affirmed something dangerous for the system, that salvation is not just in rituals, rules, dogmas, but in the inner awakening of spiritual consciousness, in the encounter with the Christ that dwells within each one. It is clear that this statement shook the pillars of religious power. If everyone discovered that they could access the kingdom of God from within, without needing intermediaries, what would happen to the structures that feed on dependence? This is the question that many avoid. But you're not here to avoid it. You are here because you want to go deeper, because you are tired of repeating prayers that don't transform, songs that don't touch, dogmas that don't respond. Jesus said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." John 8:32. But what truth is this? He was not just talking about truth as a set of doctrines. He was speaking of truth as living experience, as direct revelation. This is Gnosis, and this is not a modern invention. It is at the root of original Christianity, one that was spiritual before it was institutional, the one who spoke of the inner kingdom, of light in the midst of darkness, of a God who dwells in us. There are many forgotten texts that talk about this. The Gospel of Thomas R. Y. Nandus, for example, an apocryphal text found in Nag Hammadi, contains phrases attributed to Jesus that reveal a deeply Gnostic tone. One of them says, "If what you have in you is not revealed, what you have will destroy you. But if what you have in you is revealed, it will save you." This phrase is not in the traditional New Testament, but it resonates with a depth that only those who are spiritually attentive can perceive, and perhaps that's why she was left out. Understand, we are not here to replace the Bible. We are here to look in more depth at what is already in it. How many passages have you read and felt like there was something more there? How many times have you read a parable of Jesus and gotten the impression that the literal meaning was just the surface? This is no illusion. This is your spirit realizing that there are layers, that there are spiritual codes waiting to be deciphered, but not with the mind, but with the awakened spirit. Gnosis is like a key that opens interior doors, doors that had been locked for a long time out of fear, out of ignorance, out of tradition, but now those doors are starting to open. You're starting to see. And when that happens, nothing satisfies like before. No worship, no liturgy, no rehearsed speech can fill the emptiness of the soul. Because once you experience the light of revelation, you don't want to go back to the darkness of repetition. This is why many people feel out of place within churches even though they love God. Because their spirit asks for more, ask for depth, ask for truth. And the truth, as we have already said, is not something comfortable. She shakes, she questions, but it also heals, free, strengthen. And this truth begins with the understanding that the kingdom is not something that will come in the future in some spectacular event. The kingdom of God is already within you. As Jesus said in Luke 17:21, "The kingdom of God is among you," or in other translations, within you. This statement alone would be enough to transform our entire relationship with God, because it takes us out of the condition of spectators and places us as living temples, as bearers of light, as disciples who do not just follow an external path, but who live an internal journey of deep spiritual self-knowledge. And now you understand why Gnosis was forgotten, or rather, hidden, because it gives the common man the power to reconnect with the divine without having to submit to religious castes, inflexible rituals, or authoritarian intermediaries. And when human beings understand this, they begin to seek God not only on the visible altars, but one in the secret altar of the heart, where the Spirit speaks, where the light reveals, where the soul responds. This is the key that many Christians have never received, not because God wanted to hide it, but because the men hid it. And now in this time she is coming back through videos like this, of messages that disturb, but also awaken, from encounters like this, with you, now, Here, feeling your heart beat faster, feeling something change inside. And that's why I want to invite you to share what you're feeling. Write in the comments if this message made sense to you. If you have ever felt this thirst for a deeper, more spiritual, truer Christianity. Comment on the phrase, "The key was delivered." If something inside you opened today, also comment, "I want to live this light." If you want to continue this journey of revelation, your words are not just letters on a screen. They are testimony. They are spiritual seeds that can touch other hearts. May this revelation lead you to seek the truth, not in men, but in God Himself. Have you ever seen something similar? Comment below. This message spoke to you. Sign up to receive more revelations like this. For many are called, but few are chosen. Matthew 22:14. This phrase of Jesus, often repeated, is rarely understood in its spiritual depth. It seems simple at first glance, but it hides one of the most enigmatic keys to the entire gospel. A small verse, but it separates the superficial from the deep, the ritual from the spirit, the religious from the awakened. And now that you are walking this path of revelation, it is impossible to ignore the weight these words carry. Jesus was speaking clearly to those with spiritual ears. He was not condemning, but warning. He was not limiting access, but revealing a process. Many are called. Yes, many feel the initial touch, that restlessness that makes the heart race when hearing a truth, that shiver that appears for no apparent reason when a biblical word is read with intensity. The call is like a knock on the door of the soul, a vibration that passes through the flesh and touches the spirit. It's subtle, but profound, and you felt it. Maybe it felt right now, but being called is not the end. It's the beginning. It is a call from above, an invitation to leave the ordinary and enter the kingdom. But not everyone responds. Not everyone has the courage to leave the comfort of human certainties and follow the narrow path of spiritual truth. Because the truth, this truth that frees, it also hurts. It confronts, shatters illusions, breaks paradigms, and many, when they feel the impact of the call, prefer to silence their voice. They return to the safety of dogmas. They return to the comfort of the benches of empty religion. They choose not to see, but the chosen ones. Oh, the chosen ones are those who respond to the call with spiritual obedience, with a hunger for the truth, with a thirst for what is eternal. They don't just listen, they stand up. They don't just feel, they follow. They are not the best, nor the purest, nor the most prepared, but they are those who do not ignore the inner voice, those who recognize the presence of something sacred, even if they don't understand everything right away. The chosen ones are not perfect. They are sensitive, they are brave, they are awakened. And here comes a big confusion that many Christians carry, the idea that being chosen is a random privilege from God, as if He pointed His finger and said, "You, yes, you know," without criteria. But that is not what the scriptures reveal. The choice is not arbitrary. She is answer. It's correspondence. It is a spiritual vibration in tune with the calling. Jesus made it clear that he who seeks finds, and he who knocks, the door will be opened. Choice is, first and foremost, a decision of the soul that responds to the sound of truth, even without seeing it with our eyes, even without understanding it with our mind. This is the real mystery behind Matthew 22:14. Jesus had just told a parable, the parable of the wedding feast, where a king prepares a great banquet and sends out invitations. The first guests refuse. They are too busy, worried about their tasks, blinded by their routines. So the king orders others to be called from the streets, the alleys, the forgotten. But even among these, there were those who entered without the wedding garment. And here's the point. It's not enough to be in the right place. It is necessary to have the right clothing, the correct conscience, the true disposition, the soul surrendered to the light. This wedding garment symbolizes inner preparation, new spiritual birth, transformation of mind and heart. And many who are in the church, in the institution, in the temple, are naked before the Spirit. They are there in body, but not in soul. They are present in form, but absent in essence. They received the call, but refused the transformation, and for that reason they are not chosen. The truth is that the call is collective, but the choice is intimate. It's personal. It's spiritual. You may be listening to this video right now, and inside you, something may be moving. A silent recognition. An echo from eternity saying, "You have been called." But the choice, That part is up to you. It depends on how you respond. It depends on whether you continue with an open heart, with spiritual eyes attentive, with a soul willing to leave behind everything that was appearance, to embrace the truth that frees, even if it hurts at first. And that's exactly why not everyone supports this type of content, because he doesn't massage his ego. It does not offer immediate comfort. He offers fire, fire that purifies, fire that reveals what is hidden, fire that burns what is false. And this fire, the same one that illuminated the prophets, that descended in the upper room, that burned in hearts on the way to Emmaus, is still available, but it only turns on those who want more, in those who have been called and say, "Yes, I want to be chosen. I want the truth to burn within me." Now maybe you understand why so many people are in religion and yet empty, because they were called but they never really responded. They were invited but never entered the spiritual banquet room. They are close, but not connected. They talk about God, they sing about God, they teach about God, but they don't live God, because they didn't let the truth penetrate to the depths of their soul. They did not allow the inner Christ to awaken. They did not seek Gnosis, the knowledge that frees, that purifies, that transforms. And you? Do you feel like you are among the chosen ones? Not because you think you are better, but because your soul responds with reverence, with fear, and with love. Because you can feel the presence of something sacred even through the screen. Because you hear a voice that is not mine, but that speaks through me. Because your spirit, even hurt by religious disappointments, still has faith. Faith not in the system, but in Kao, in the living truth that dwells in God and wants to dwell in you. Perhaps you have already been judged, rejected, ridiculed for thinking differently. Perhaps your spiritual journey has been marked by ruptures and pain, but this does not invalidate the call. On the contrary, it could be exactly what prepared you to recognize him when he finally arrived. And if you're hearing this now, it's because he has arrived. Therefore, I invite you, write in the comments what you feel when you hear this verse. Comment, "I have been called and I choose to respond." If this resonates with you, if something woke up, if this message touched you in a place that few words can reach, share your testimony, your doubt, your desire for more. Also, comment, "I want to understand my calling." If you want us to continue exploring this topic in more depth in future videos. And remember, not everything that is revealed to the eyes is true, and not everything that is true is accepted by carnal eyes. Therefore, seek with the Spirit, walk with your heart, and remain attentive to the voice that does not come from men, but from God himself. May this revelation lead you to seek the truth, not in men, but in God himself. Have you ever seen something similar? Comment below. If this message spoke to you, sign up to receive more revelations like this. Are you experiencing something you can't explain? A kind of spiritual displacement? Like you're in the world but not quite a part of it? As if everything that filled you before now seems empty, shallow, colorless? If so, maybe this isn't a crisis. Maybe it's awakening. Yes, spiritual awakening. The one that comes when the hidden call begins to echo in the soul. And it doesn't come with a warning or a manual. It arrives as a silent rupture, a shift in perception that transforms everything from within and makes you see the world through different eyes. And that is one of the first signs that you are being spiritually activated. The grand feeling of disconnection from the world is the first sign. You start to feel like an outsider. Ordinary conversations tire you. The interests of the majority no longer concern you. Material concerns lose their shine. It's as if there is a distance between what the world values and what your soul longs for. You try to fit in, but something inside you whispers that you no longer belong to the standards of this age. This is not isolation. This is spiritual separation. It's as if the Spirit is pulling you to a higher place, a place of consciousness, of purpose, of truth. The world begins to seem too small for what is being born inside you. At the same time, an almost obsessive interest in biblical mysteries is born. You start to question what you never questioned. Texts that previously went unnoticed now stand out to you with force. Parables that once seemed simple now hide encrypted messages. Names, numbers, symbols. Everything seems to contain a code, a hidden message waiting to be revealed. You feel like there is something beyond words. And that's right, because our spiritual mysteries have always been hidden from natural eyes, waiting for awakened souls to be deciphered. It's at that moment that you realize that the Bible isn't just a book, it's a spiritual map, a language of programmed revelation. Receiva, a divine letter written in layers. Then comes the search for a deeper truth. You begin to feel dissatisfied with the shallow answers. It no longer accepts automatic explanations. You want to know why. You want to understand what no one explains. You want to go beyond the surface of doctrines. He is no longer content with tradition for tradition's sake. Begin to realize that faith without understanding is control, and that knowledge without spirit is arrogance. But when the Spirit guides you to the truth, everything changes. This search takes you to places that many avoid. It makes you read rejected books, explore forgotten Gospels, delve into apocryphal texts, hear prophetic voices that have been silenced by history, and each new discovery is like a piece of an eternal puzzle falling into place in the soul. In the midst of this process, spiritual dreams begin to emerge. You start to dream of places you've never seen, hear names you've never heard before, feel presences in the early hours of the morning. Sometimes he wakes up with a strange impression, as if he received something, as if he saw something, but he can't explain it. This isn't just your brain processing images, it's your spirit receiving messages. The spiritual dimension begins to communicate with you directly, sometimes in the form of short visions, words that appear out of nowhere, alert sensations, and other times in dreams so vivid they seem real. This is one of the biggest signs that you are being prepared, because the Spirit begins to teach you even when you are sleeping. And perhaps the most painful sign, but also the most true, the rejection of the superficial religious system. That repulsion you feel for repetitive preaching, for services empty of presence, for leaders who talk about God, but don't live God. You feel, even when everyone around you seems to be delighted with the performance, you feel something is wrong. Your soul cries in the middle of the hymns, not from emotion, but from thirst, because what should feed is just entertaining, because what was supposed to be a temple became a stage. You're not rebelling, you're a discerning. The Spirit is teaching you to distinguish what is holy from what is profane, what is anointed than what is staged. This discomfort is not ingratitude. It's a sign that your soul is maturing, that you are no longer satisfied with what is for everyone, because now you understand that there is something reserved only for those who truly seek. Those who enter the room, close the door, and cry in silence, asking the Father, "Show me what no one else wants to see." Those who are not afraid to lose everything, followers, status, acceptance, just to gain the truth that comes from above. If you identified with all of this, know, you are in the midst of a hidden calling, and this call does not manifest itself with trumpets and bright lights. It comes in the details, in silent disruptions, in pains that no one understands, in the desires that you can no longer ignore, in those moments when you look up to the sky and, even though you don't know how to pray, you just say, "Show me, I want more." And he listens. Always listen, because this pure desire is more powerful than any liturgy. This intimate cry moves heaven, because he seeks those who worship him in spirit and in truth, not in appearance, not in title, not in label, but in essence. You may be living the beginning of a path that few dare to follow, a narrow path, lonely in many parts, but full of revelations. Awakening is the first step, and the signs are there, surrounding you. They are in the questions that don't remain silent, in the tears that fall without explanation, in the desire to let go of everything that is false and dive into something authentic, deep, eternal. If you feel all of this, then you are not crazy. You are waking up. You are seeing with the eyes of the Spirit. You are listening with ears that have been opened by God. And now I want to invite you to record what you are feeling. Don't leave it just inside you. Write in the comments, "I am awakening." If this message found an echo in your heart, or write, "I see the signs." If you were able to identify with each point, also share what you have experienced in this process. Your dreams, your doubts, your spiritual pains. This can empower others who are going through the same journey but feel like they are alone. May this revelation lead you to seek the truth, not in men, but in God himself. Have you ever seen something similar? Comment below. If this message spoke to you, sign up to receive more revelations like this. If you have been feeling this spiritual restlessness that leads you to seek more, deeper, more truth, then the time has come to look with courage at a part of history that many avoid, a part forgotten, silenced, hidden, but never completely erased. We are talking about the Gnostics, men and women who, in the first centuries of Christianity, claimed they possess secret wisdom, transmitted directly by Jesus to an intimate group of disciples. A wisdom that is not just intellectual but spiritual, mystical, transformative. A revelation that did not depend on temples or rituals, but on inner awakening. This gnosis, that is, this deep spiritual knowledge, was considered dangerous by the nascent structure of the institutionalized church. Dangerous, not because it was false, but because it delivered to the individual what the system wanted to control. The Gnostics taught that the kingdom of God is within each one, that salvation does not depend on human mediators, and that true connection with the divine requires self-knowledge, inner transformation, and direct listening to the Spirit. They spoke of a Jesus who did not come to found a religion, but to awaken consciences, a Christ who freed from ignorance, and not who imposed rules upon rules. And that's why they were persecuted, ridiculed, marginalized, condemned as heretics. By whom? Due to the religious structure that was being formed and seeking to consolidate itself as the only door between God and men, a structure that wanted authority, power, dominance over the faith of the masses, and that I could not allow there to be a group of Christians saying that you can hear directly from God without needing a priest. But the Gnostics left traces. Some of his texts have survived. They were hidden for centuries and rediscovered in recent times, such as the famous discovery of Nag Hammadi in Egypt in 1945. Inside clay pots buried in the desert, archaeologists found Gospels and ancient writings, Gospels that are not in the New Testament, but that bring words attributed to Jesus and profound visions about the soul, the spirit, the kingdom, and the very purpose of existence. Among these texts, one of the most impactful is the Kakian Gospel of Thomas. Unlike the canonical Gospels, it does not narrate the life of Jesus but gathers secret sayings from the Master, enigmatic, spiritual, often perplexing words like this. If those who guide you say, "See, the kingdom is in heaven," then the birds of the air will go before you. If they say that it is in the sea, then the fish will go before you. But the kingdom is within you and without you. Can you feel the weight of that statement? She deconstructs the whole idea of a faith dependent on physical locations and takes us back to the truth of the Spirit. In the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, for example, there are records of spiritual tension among the disciples. While Peter represents the institutional voice, Mary represents spiritual intuition, inner revelation. And there Jesus, according to the text, entrusts her with teachings that others were not ready to receive. For this reason, Mary is rejected, discredited, and you begin to notice the pattern, the inner light being constantly suffocated by external structures. The Gospel of Philip also contains passages that challenge traditional doctrine. He speaks of the mystical marriage between the soul and the Christ, of the union with the light as true spiritual baptism, and suggests that many physical sacraments are only shadows of the true inner experience. All of this, of course, is of no interest to a faith that wants to be controlled from the outside in. And the question that arises now is, why were these texts excluded? Who decided which Gospels would remain in the Bible and which would be discarded? Why did this selection happen? Was it really because of the truth or because of convenience? These are uncomfortable questions, but they need to be asked. Because mature faith is not based on blind obedience, but on conscious seeking. And if there are truths that have been silenced, the Spirit is bringing to light at this time everything that has been hidden, not to create confusion, but to free. The rejection of the Gnostics was not just a theological disagreement. It was a silent spiritual war between two types of faith, one that is born from inner light and another that depends on external authority, one that lives on revelation and another that survives on repetition, one that invites transformation of the soul, and another that demands only religious conformity. And here we are, centuries later, rediscovering what was buried, not by chance, but because the Holy Spirit continues to blow wherever He wants. And it's blowing now as you hear it, as something inside you burns, recognizing these words as echoes of a truth that has always been there, but perhaps never spoken so clearly. Gnosis was rejected because it empowers. It does not depend on hierarchies. She gives you the keys. and those in control don't want you to discover that you can open the doors alone. But Jesus himself said, "He who seeks, finds." And you are seeking. You are finding it. And maybe now you're starting to understand why you felt so out of place in the system. To religious because he no longer fit in, because his soul asked for something deeper, because you are going back to your roots, to the essence, to the living truth that precedes councils, dogmas, institutions. This may all seem new to you, or it may seem like something you've always known but never been able to explain. And this is also a sign, because Gnosis is not a new doctrine. It is an ancient spiritual memory, something you already carry, but needs to be reactivated, something that you have always intuited, but that you are now beginning to recognize clearly. And at this moment, once again, the Spirit calls you to responsibility, not just to listen, but to reflect, to search, to discern, to let the truth, however uncomfortable, enter your soul and begin to do the work that no human system has been able to do. Reconnect you with the divine that dwells within you. If these words spark something inside you, share. Write in the comments, "I want to know what was hidden." If you want to delve even deeper into these forgotten gospels and hidden revelations, also comment, "The light conquered the silence." If you feel that this content is breaking down walls inside you, share your experience, your doubt, or simply say, "I recognize this calling." May this revelation lead you to seek the truth, not in men, but in God himself. Have you ever seen something similar? Comment below. If this message spoke to you, sign up to receive more revelations like this. You have often heard that Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is within you." Luke 17:21. But how many times has this phrase been just quoted without being truly understood? How many times have you heard this in services and sermons and conversations, and yet you continued to seek this kingdom outside, on top of the mountains, on the walls of temples, in the rituals that are repeated Sunday after Sunday? The fact is, this verse is perhaps one of the most ignored and most powerful statements in the entire Bible. Jesus was not talking about a physical kingdom. It did not refer to a place with golden thrones and streets of gold visible to earthly eyes. He was revealing a spiritual truth. The kingdom is within, and is only accessible to those who have experienced the awakening of the Christ within themselves. This awakening has nothing to do with religion. It doesn't happen because you went to every service, followed every dogma, or blindly obeyed the leaders. It happens when the light of divine consciousness is activated in you, when your soul, previously dormant, begins to realize who it really is, who God is, and what the true purpose of its existence is. This is the moment when the Christ within begins to awaken. And what is this inner Christ? It is not a separate entity, as many believe. It is not a mystical being hidden on some secret plane. Inner Christ is the divine aspect that already exists within you, but that has been suffocated by ignorance, trauma, and empty religious repetitions. It is the sacred spark that was placed by God within the human soul from the beginning. When Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life," he was also saying, this way needs to be found within you. But few have the courage to look inside. Most want ready answers, want authentic recipes. He wants the pastor, the priest, the prophet to tell him what to do. It's easier to follow rules than to face the light of your own spirit, because looking inside is facing your shadows. It is realizing that God does not dwell in a place, but in core consciousness, and that your relationship with Him does not depend on third parties, but on your own surrender, on your own transformation. Gnosis, true spiritual knowledge, does not take you outside. She takes you inside. And it's inside that everything starts to make sense. The awakening of the Christ within is in the moment when you stop just talking about God and start listening to God, not with your natural ears, but with your spirit. That's when you understand that the most sacred altar is the silence in your room, that the most powerful prayer is not the longest, but the most sincere, that repentance is not theatrical, it is profound, that true baptism is of conscience, of fire, of revelation. The inner Christ does not manifest itself with noise. He doesn't impose himself. He waits for the right moment, the time when his soul finally tires of the illusions of this world and begins to cry out for something real. And when you get to that point, when you've tried everything and still feel empty, that's when he reveals himself, not with applause, not with visible signs, but with their peace, with clarity, with a light in the eyes of the soul. This awakening is also painful, Because the Christ that awakens within you begins to dismantle everything that was built without foundation. He tears down internal idols. He exposes the vanity hidden under the name of faith. He reveals his pride, the disguise of zeal. And that hurts. But it is a pain that heals. A pain that frees you from the slavery of appearance to lead you to freedom of the spirit. Therefore, this process is not religion. It's a profound transformation. It's a rebirth. And it doesn't matter if you have been evangelical all your life and cradle Catholic, or if you have never had any religion. The awakening of Christ does not ask your denomination. He searches the heart, and when he finds in sincerity, humility, desire for truth, he begins the silent, invisible, and irresistible work. You start to see things with new eyes. The scriptures come to life. Words that once seemed ordinary now vibrate with meaning. Prayer is no longer an obligation. It is a necessity. Praise is no longer music. It is delivery. And the presence of God is no longer felt only in worship services. It is perceived in every detail, in every look, in every silence. Because the inner Christ changes you completely. It changes your way of seeing, feeling, existing. You no longer live on the outside. You live from within. And in this process, many things fall apart. Relationships fall apart. Old beliefs are abandoned. Friends move away. Leaders question you, but you continue because you know something is being born, something that can no longer be contained. The old is being replaced by the new, and the new one doesn't have a name like a church sign. It doesn't have a fixed dogma. It doesn't have a religious label. The new is Christ being formed within you. The Apostle Paul said in Galatians 4:19, "My children, for whom I labor again until Christ is formed in you." See? Until Christ is prior and formed in you. This is pure Gnosis. This is the living gospel. This is the awakening that transcends any religion. Paul understood that the true mission was not to form denominational Christians, but to form Christ in people. This is the spiritual mission that you are beginning to live. And now, perhaps you understand why you have felt so much discomfort recently, why the services that once moved you now seem empty, why the sermons that used to give you goosebumps now seem shallow. Why are you hungry but you don't know what? Because you are in transition. You are no longer a follower of rules to become a living home of God's presence. It's going from spectator to temple, from viewer to channel. You are being transformed. The Christ who walked the streets of Jerusalem now walks within you, not physically but spiritually. He wants to live in you, speak through you, love through you. But to do so, you need to accept this process of inner transformation. You need to surrender. You need to want more than religion. You need to desire in truth. And the truth, as we have already seen, is not learned. It is revealed. If you feel that this Christ is awakening within you, write in the comments, "Christ is being formed in me." If something in this message has lit a flame, however small, write, "I receive this transformation." And if you are in the middle of this spiritual transition where everything seems to be falling apart on the outside so that something new is born on the inside, write, "I am the temple of the living Christ." May this revelation lead you to seek the truth not in men, but in God Himself. Have you ever seen something similar? Comment below. If this message spoke to you, sign up to receive more revelations like this. Now that something inside you has been awakened, a spiritual spark ignited, a calling you couldn't ignore, the inevitable question arises: what now? What is your role in this new time, in this journey that is not for spectators, but for protagonists of the inner kingdom? Because the call does not exist to be admired, like someone watching a spectacle from afar. It exists to transform, and transform life. You are not here by chance. You are here to do something real. When the Spirit wakes you up, it invites you to be more than a listener. He calls you to act. He calls you to live. And living in this context does not mean maintaining the old rituals. It means living a conscious faith, conscious of the soul, conscious of the search, conscious of the truth. You are part of a generation of seekers, thirsty for light, for revelation, for spiritual authenticity. This generation does not seek status. It does not seek human approval. It seeks presence. It seeks essence. It seeks intimate communion with God within itself. Your role now is to experience the revelation, not just accumulating spiritual knowledge, not just collecting catchphrases or theories about light and darkness. It's living the inner Christ, letting this light guide your thoughts, your choices, your attitudes. It means letting the ego die so that the soul can be reborn. It means leaving the comfortable to embrace the sacred. It means abandoning religion made of empty rules, appearances, and rituals to embrace life made of spirit, truth, and transformation. You are being prepared for something greater, a spiritual purpose that transcends the routine of temple and worship, that goes beyond the walls of religious conventions. Perhaps you are called to transform not just yourself, but to be a channel, a voice, a living light for others. Because when you start to live by Gnosis, by spiritual wisdom, by the light that you taught yourself to recognize, you automatically become a lighthouse. Other sleeping souls begin to notice something different in you, a peace, an intensity, a thirst for truth that cannot be quenched with empty words. And that sparks curiosity. And that curiosity can be the beginning of a new awakening. And perhaps you are part of God's call to awaken others. Make no mistake, this role does not require perfection, titles, spiritual diplomas. It demands sincerity, humility, a burning desire for truth. Because transformation doesn't come from strength, it comes from surrender. It comes from the spirit submissive to the light, from the heart open to be molded, from the soul ready to seek, question, break paradigms. From the moment you decide to walk with the eyes of the Spirit, you begin to live differently. Your prayers are no longer mere words, they are cries. Your quiet time is no longer empty, it is an altar. Your reading of the Word is no longer study, it is an encounter. Your life is no longer routine, it's a mission. Your existence begins to radiate the inner truth that many desire, but few have the courage to seek. And by assuming this role, you abandon the role of spectator of faith to become an active participant in God's work. You become a disciple. Live at the table with the Master. Let him shape your character, renew your convictions, ignite your purpose. You begin to embody the living gospel, not the one preached with decorated lips, but the one that pulses in the soul, that speaks with spiritual authority, that transforms hearts of flesh. Because true Gnosis does not live on memorized words, lives a transformed life, and this transformed life reverberates. Your attitudes, your choices, the way you relate to the world and others, everything starts to carry a new meaning. You become salt, you become light, you become living testimony to the truth that many have buried. And then, without realizing it, he begins to contribute to the restoration of a genuine faith, not institutional, non-sectarian, but spiritual, honest, radical in the search for divine truth. Of course, this will be uncomfortable. It will generate questions. It will provoke rejection even from those who applauded you in the past. This could mean losing friends, reputation, comfort. But it is precisely then that you understand that your call was not to please, but to serve, not to be praised, but to be useful, not to prosper, but to bear the cross of truth, the cross of a faith that is not afraid to expose deception, but loves to confront lies, even if it is costly, because the price of truth has never been cheap, but it was always worth it. You may feel scared. You can doubt it. You may question your steps. You may think, do I deserve it? Am I ready? But remember, the process is not about merit. It is about surrender, not about perfection, but about sincerity, not about status, but about sacrifice. And if your heart beats with honesty, with hunger, with thirst for God, you are more prepared than you know, because God does not call the qualified. He empowers the called ones, and the call came to you. So embrace your role with faith. Let the light of Gnosis guide you. Let the inner Christ form you. Allow this new awareness to transform every aspect of your life, your thoughts, your relationships, your purpose, and allow, through you, many to be touched, many souls be awakened, many lives changed. Because when someone connects with living truth, the impact goes beyond their time, beyond their space. It echoes eternally. If you felt this call, write in the comments, "I'm assuming my role." If you want to live this transformation to the end, also comment, "I want to be light in this world." If you want this journey to have a real impact, not only on you, but on those around you, share your concerns, your desires, your fears, or even your courage. Let's walk together on this journey of revelation and spiritual rebirth. May this revelation lead you to seek the truth, not in men, but in God Himself. Have you ever seen something similar? Comment below. If this message spoke to you, sign up to receive more revelations like this. You've come this far, and now the time is no longer to listen but to decide. It is no longer time to look from afar, to watch as a spectator. The door before you is wide open, and the light that comes from above is not to light the path of another, but to ignite your own within. The climax of your spiritual journey has arrived, the time of choice. Will you ignore this call? Are you going to pretend that all of this was just a moment of curiosity, just another video that touched your emotions? Or will you take a step of courage, of faith, of surrender, and delve deeper into the truth that was reserved for the chosen ones? Feel the weight of these words, because we are not talking about beautiful philosophy or empty promises. We are talking about the soul, of spirit. We are talking about an ancient calling, sent by God echoing through the centuries, that now reaches you, and it does not come with guarantees of comfort or worldly security. It arrives with invitations to rupture, because the truth that liberates often demands that everything be broken. Beliefs, certainties, false paths, tattered spiritual garments. Gnosis, this deep knowledge, does not grant superficial stability. Grants transformed life, light in the darkness of the soul, freedom to live in spirit, not ritual. You are in front of two doors, one that leads to conformism, to conventional religion, to the comfortable system of ready faith, digested faith, costless faith. We already know this door. Temples full of people, voices ready to repeat words, tradition that cradles empty hearts. The other door, the one that opens now, leads to the sacred. It leads to intimate listening with God, to inner revelation, to spiritual rebirth. This door requires courage. It requires you to say yes, even without seeing all the answers, even without understanding everything right now. It demands that you surrender your soul so that the Christ within can be formed, so that the light of truth can break you from the inside and rebuild you from the outside in. Perhaps, when you decide to enter, you will be misunderstood. Maybe they say that you are mistaken, that you are being influenced by dangerous ideas, that you are moving away from God, precisely because you really want to find Him. But remember, the kingdom of God rarely reveals itself through human acceptance, rarely conforms to other people's expectations. Gnosis is uncomfortable, disturbing, destabilizes. Why? Because it brings light where there was darkness, because it raises the truth where there was a lie, because it reveals the essence where there was a facade. And that's why so many run away from it, but also why so many awakened people seek it, even without understanding everything, even without having guarantees. Because the call does not come from humans, it comes from above. If you feel this cry within you, this restlessness, this thirst, this hunger for something real and eternal, don't put it off. Don't wait. Don't say, one day, if I have time, if circumstances allow, I will delve deeper. That day is now. That moment is this. This screen may go off, this video may end, this feeling may seem fleeting, but the spirit that called you always remains, and He does not accept half terms. He invites, come. He blew first, and now He gives you freedom to respond. The call is given. The choice is yours. You can continue living on the surface in appearances and comfort and traditional religion, and perhaps one day you will wake up feeling a greater emptiness than you feel today. Or you can break up. You can say yes to light, yes to truth, yes to transformation. You can embrace the inner Christ. You can allow your soul to flourish in the mystery of Gnosis. You can begin to walk as an obedient child of the Most High, as a seeker of light. Because the call is not to tame the mind, it is to awaken the spirit. It's not about repeating formulas, it's about living the revelation. It's not about accumulating labels, it's about experiencing the living presence of God within your being. And if you are feeling that fire, if something is vibrating within you right now, confirm your decision. Declare with faith, even if it is just one word, I receive the Gnosis of Christ. Let this confession resonate like a cry from the soul. Share with someone you feel has also been touched. Perhaps this will be the instrument of liberation for another sleeping soul. Don't hide this light. Don't repress it, because the world needs those who awaken, those who dare to live the truth, those who accept the risk of faith, the risk of being different, of being free, of being light. Sign up, activate the bell, because this journey of revelation doesn't stop here. It is continuous. Every video, every word, every reflection can be a step on the spiritual ladder that takes you closer to the Creator. And as you walk, you will realize that you are not alone. Other awakened ones walk with you. Other hearts cry out for the same truth. Other souls yearn for the same freedom. May this revelation lead you to seek the truth not in men, but in God Himself. Have you ever seen something similar? Comment below. And if this message spoke to you, sign up to receive more revelations like this.